Hi guys, so we're going to read some more Stargirl today. So we've already read chapters 1 through 4, so today we're going to read chapters 5 and 6. So let's find the pages here. Oh, that's chapter 10. Alright, here we go. Chapter 5. Are you guys ready? Alright. The call came from Kevin on a Friday night. He was at the football game. Quick, hurry, drop whatever you're doing, now! Kevin was one of the few who went to games. The school kept threatening to drop football because of low attendance. They said ticket receipts were barely enough to pay for electricity to light the field. But Kevin was screaming on the phone. I jumped in the family pickup and raced to the stadium. I bolted from the truck. Kevin was at the gate, windmilling his arm. Hurry! I threw the $2 admission at the ticket window, and we raced for the field. See better up here, he said, yanking me into the stands. It was halftime. The band was on the field, all 14 of them. Among the students, it was known as the world's smallest standing band. There weren't enough of them to form recognizable letters or shapes, except for a capital I, so they didn't march much at half times of games. They mostly stood, in 2 rows of 7 each, plus the student conductor. No majorettes, no color guard, no flag and rifle girls. Except this night. This night, stargirl Caleigh was on the field with them. As they played, rooted in their places, she pranced around the grass in her bare feet and long lemon yellow dress. She roamed from goalpost to goalpost. She swirled like a dust devil. She marched stiffly like a wooden soldier. She tootled an imaginary flute. She pogoed into the air and knocked her bare heels together. The cheerleaders gaped from the sidelines. A few people in the stands whistled. The rest, they barely outnumbered the band, sat there with, "What is this?" on their faces. The band stopped playing and marched off the field. Stargirl stayed. She was twirling down the 40-yard line when the players returned. They did a minute of warm-up exercises. She joined in, jumping jacks, belly whomps. The teams lined up for the second half kickoff. The ball perched on the kicking tee. She was still on the field. The referee blew his whistle, pointed to her. He flapped his hand for her to go away. Instead, she dashed for the ball. She plucked it off the tee and danced with it, spinning and hugging it and hoisting it into the air. The players looked at their coaches. The coaches looked at the officials. The officials blew their whistles and began converging on her. The sole policeman on duty headed for the field. She punted the ball over the visiting team's bench and ran from the field and out of the stadium. Everyone cheered. The spectators, the cheerleaders, the band, the players, the officials, the parents running the hot dog stand, the policeman, me. We whistled and stomped our feet on the aluminum bleachers. The cheerleaders stared up in delighted surprise. For the first time, they were hearing something come back from the stands. They did cartwheels and backflips and even a 3-tier pyramid. Old-timers, or as old as timers got in a city as young as Mika, said they had never heard such a racket. For the next home game, more than 1,000 people showed up. Everyone but Wayne Parr and Hillary Kimball. There was a line at the ticket window. The refreshment stand ran out of hot dogs. A second policeman was called in. The cheerleaders were in their glory. They screamed up at the bleachers, "Give me an E!" The bleachers screamed back, "E!" We were the Electrons and honored the town's electronics heritage. The cheerleaders ran through all the routines before the first quarter was over. The band was loud and peppy. The football team even scored a touchdown. In the stands, heads kept swinging to the edges of the field, to the entrance, to the street lamp-lighted darkness behind the stadium. The sense of expectation grew as the first half came to a close. The band marched smartly onto the field. Even they were looking around. The musicians did their program. They even formed a small lopsided circle. They seemed to linger on the field, drawing out their notes, waiting. Finally, reluctantly, they marched to the sideline. The players returned. They kept glancing around as they did their warm-ups. When the referee raised his arm and blew his whistle for the second half to begin, a sense of disappointment fell over the stadium. The cheerleader's shoulders sagged. She wasn't coming. On the following Monday, we got a shock in the lunchroom. Bleached blonde and beautiful Mallory Stillwell, captain of the cheerleaders, was sitting with Stargirl. She sat with her, ate with her, talked with her, walked out with her. By sixth period, the whole school knew. Stargirl had been invited to become a cheerleader, and she had said yes. People in Phoenix must have heard us buzzing. Would she wear the usual skirt and sweater like everyone else? Would she do the usual cheers? Did all the cheerleaders want this, or was it just the captain's idea? Were they jealous? Cheerleading practice drew a crowd. At least 100 of us stood by the parking lot that day, watching her learn the cheers, watching her jump around in her long pioneer dress. She spent 2 weeks practicing. Halfway through the second week, she wore her uniform. Green trimmed white V-neck cotton sweater, short green and white pleated skirt. She looked just like the rest of them. Still, to us she was not truly a cheerleader, but Stargirl dressed like one. She continued to strum her ukulele and sing happy birthday to people. She still wore long skirts on non-game days and made a home of her school desks. When Halloween arrived, everyone in her homeroom found a candy pumpkin on his or her desk. No one had to ask who did it. By then, most of us had decided that we liked having her around. We found ourselves looking forward to coming to school to seeing what bizarre antics she'd be up to. She gave us something to talk about. She was entertaining. At the same time, we held back. Because she was different. Different. We had no one to compare her to, no one to measure her against. She was unknown territory, unsafe. We were afraid to get too close. Also, I think we were all waiting to see the outcome of an event that looked larger and larger with every passing day. The next birthday coming up was Hillary Kimball's. All right. Chapter 6. Hillary herself set the stage the day before. In the middle of lunch, she got up from her table and walked over to Stargirl. For half a minute, she just stood behind Stargirl's chair. Silence everywhere except for tinklings in the kitchen. Only Stargirl was still chewing. Hillary moved around to the side. "I'm Hillary Kimball," she said. Stargirl looked up. She smiled. She said, "I know. My birthday is tomorrow." "I know." Hillary paused. Her eyes narrowed. She jabbed her finger in Stargirl's face. "Don't try singing to me. I'm warning you." Only those at nearby tables heard Stargirl's faint reply, "I won't sing to you." Hillary gave a satisfied smirk and walked off. I'm tired. From the moment we arrived at school the next day, the atmosphere bristled like cactus paddles. When the buzzer sounded for first lunch, we leaped for the doors. We swarmed into the food lines. We raced through our choices and hurried to our seats. Never had we moved so fast, so quietly. At most, we whispered. We sat. We ate. We were afraid to crunch our potato chips, afraid we might miss something. Hillary was first to enter. She marched in, leading her girlfriends like an invading general. In the food line, she smacked items onto her tray. She glared at the cashier. While her friends scanned the crowd for Stargirl, Hillary stared ferociously at her sandwich. Wayne Parr came in and sat several tables away, as if even he was afraid of her on this day. Stargirl finally came in. She went straight to the food line, blithely smiling as usual. Both she and Hillary seemed unaware of each other. Stargirl ate, Hillary ate, we watched. Only the clock moved. A kitchen staffer stuck her head out over the conveyor belt and called, "Trays!" A voice barked back, "Shut up!" Stargirl finished her lunch. As usual, she stuffed her wrappings into her paper bag carried the bag to the paper-only can by the tray return window, and dropped it in. She returned to her seat. She picked up the ukulele. We stopped breathing. Hillary stared at her sandwich. Stargirl began strumming and humming. She stood. She strolled between the tables, humming, strumming. 300 pairs of eyes followed her. She came to Hillary Kimball's table and kept on walking right up to the table where Kevin and I sat with the hot seat crew. She stopped and she sang, "Happy Birthday." It was Hillary's name at the end of the song, but true to her word of the day before, she did not sing it to Hillary. She sang it to me. She stood at my shoulder and looked down at me, smiling and singing, and I didn't know whether to look down at my hands or up at her face, so I did some of each. My face was burning. When she finished, the students burst from their silence with wild applause. Hillary Kimball stomped from the lunchroom. Kevin looked up at Stargirl and pointed at me and said what everyone must have been thinking. Why him? Stargirl tilted her head as if studying me. She grinned mischievously. She tugged on my earlobe and said, "He's cute," and walked off. I was feeling 9 ways at once, and they all ended up at the touch of her hand on my ear until Kevin reached over and yanked the same earlobe. "This keeps getting more interesting," he said. "I think it's time to go see Archie." All right, that's the end of chapters 5 and 6. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you again for chapters 7 and 8. Have a wonderful day.